Check it out. Rolling to America. Seize everything and bring these crackers to their knees. I need everything and I do mean everything. I know they don't like us. Go ahead and try us. Don't make me call upon the Lord and put this earth on fire. I'm only getting better and I'm only getting higher. And you are getting weaker. That's why you cannot beat us. I know you do not like us. We don't like you neither. You win against a grain. You should be ashamed. You win against a king. Let's just call it treason. Can't wait for killing season. All that shit that you be preaching. Let me see if you believe it. They say they can't be touched. Well, I'm about to put my hands on them. No more missing nice guy. I gave that spirit up. Lord, give me strength so I can tear this city up. Babylon is falling, but it's just not fast enough. Angels with a nigga, so you niggas cannot touch. Ooh, this shit not adding up. Fucking raise it up. Listen to them devils while you let them gas you up. Yeah. Said I pray they understand. I said I pray they understand. This shit not adding up. Fucking raise it up. Listen to them devils while you let them gas you up. Said I pray they understand. Hey, I said I pray they understand.
They want me to bite my tongue, they don't like criticism. Can't sell presses the devil, YouTube restricted niggas. But they can post bitches twerking, police killing niggas. You can rap about catching bodies, the millions listen. Bitches rap about they box, and children listen. You say you black and gay, to them you still a nigga. You chasing Susie and Becky, they Emmett Tiller niggas. You got the ones that compromise, and you got field niggas. It's a real difference, it make me feel different. When I kick on my boots, tie up a meat tree, I know what we teaching that camp, nobody teaching. These devils telling lies without blinking. They ain't got the integrity, try to reach them. They say they conscious and they woke, but they sleepy. I ain't sparing nobody, I'm going in. It's a rap when I hop up on that podium.
This shit not adding up, fucking raise it up. Listen to them devils while you let them gas you up. Yeah. Said I pray they understand. I said I pray they understand. This shit not adding up. Fucking raise it up. Listen to them devils while you let them gas you up. Said I pray they understand. Hey, I said I pray they understand.
I'm a priest in the UPK. Of course my phone always ring off the hook. Hey, 1 second. Hey, Shalom. Lord of Christ?
I'm a priest in the UPK. Of course you safe in here.
I'm a trooper in the UPK.
I'm a priest in the ISUPK. Of course I get checked with Sabbath service.
Hey, Elijah, man, what the fuck wrong with you, man? Didn't I tell you to do that shit?
I'm a priest in the UPK. Of course I got multiple wives. Hello? Yeah, take that Facebook post down. Take that shit down. I'm a trooper in the UPK.
I'm a priest in the UPK. Of course I don't have conversations with my brother's wives over 10 seconds. Hey, Shalom, sis.
I'm a trooper in the UPK.
Hey, I'm a priest in the UPK. Of course I stay icy.
I'm a trooper in the UPK. Of course Cap made me do this.
I'm a trooper in the UPK, of course.
And he was still... Hey, Shalom, sis.
Man, what's good for the night though, man?
Shit, I think we should go to Duke's tonight.
Shit, Dukes. I'm always fucking with Dukes. I was there last night. I'll go again. I ain't tripping.
We go to Duke's every Saturday.
Man, we only gotta go out. We can just drink at school or some shit. Nah, for real, man. We can just stay in. Like, what's up with that?
This nigga. Bro, shut the fuck up. No more plans from you.
Let's just get some s'mores and crackers and sing Kumbaya.
This nigga, you feel what I'm saying though? Like, niggas trying to go out, this nigga, ooh, it's stay inside. I want to be indoors. Weird ass shit, man. Like, God, please. God
Man, let me tell you about this weird shit Captain did, man. All the niggas over there out there
You talking about
laughing.
something that just happened right now?
Yeah, all them brothers out there laughing.
All right, well,
and
hold on. Are you offended?
shit. Yeah, I'm offended, man.
Okay, so if you offended, hold on. If you offended by what somebody did or said to you, what should you do? Should you go to a brother and talk about your offense? Or should you go to the brother that offended
Nah,
you?
but I feel like I can't
No.
really talk to
Hear
him,
me though. What Christ said?
Go to him and him alone.
All right then. So what you about to do?
I'm gonna go talk to him about it.
I'm sorry, Christ.
Yo, you got any better ideas?
Hey, the life was part of that.
Oh my God, bro.
Nigga, that's a funny nigga, man.
It's like Captain Alex.
Yeah, what's good?
I'm offended by all the jokes and stuff that y'all was doing. Really, like, I feel like y'all took it too far. Like, I ain't, I know we joke around with brothers, but I feel like y'all took that shit too far.
Yeah, man. Hey, Shalaki, man. I that's my fuck up. I apologize for that. I didn't mean to be, joking and laughing and shit at you. You my bro. I'm sorry. You accept my apology?
Yeah, come on, sir.
I'm Shalaki. Let me get you a drink or something. You solid? We good? More time crack. The water. Hey, Shalom, Lord of Christ, man. We just showed you a scenario on how you should handle a situation when someone offends you, man. Listen, man, you get offended in the school, always take the proper protocol. Go to him and him alone, man. That's how you keep brotherhood strong, and that's how you keep demons away, and that's how you keep everyone together. You understand? Shalom. One take, right here. One take.
Just cause he think he 13,000, man, I really don't give a fuck about none of that shit, bro. That shit be pissing me off.
I'm finna tell that nigga everything you just said.
Rolling. Man, Captain over there making jokes about it.
Nigga, that more like.
Come back later, nigga.
Everybody here, so you got the perfect people. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. Oh, yeah, that's perfect. I'll get started right now. All right. Let's see. All right. Shalom Israel, Yahweh Hashem Yahshua Barak Thumb to the brothers, Yahweh Shamar Thumb Hashem Yahshua to the sisters. Waters for tuning in to Tuesday's Brotherhood class. What do we got? What we got? All right, so yeah, we just gonna jump right in there. So today's topic we jumping in on is is God's love unconditional? Um, I know this is something that is talked about a lot, but it definitely needs to be going over plenty of times because a lot of our people they have this identity that the Lord is just accepting of any and every type of characteristic that people have to bring to the table. You know what I mean? That the Lord is willing to love you regardless of whatever the circumstances are in your life. You can be whatever you want to be. You can live the way that you want to live. You can do all kinds of uh, evil, wicked things, and the Lord is still gonna accept you and love you for who you are. You know what I mean? As we know, you know what I mean, being in this truth that is completely untrue. You know what I mean? Just answering the question right off the bat. But what do you think in the chat? You know what I mean? We got in the chat anyways. We got UPK Kadash, Trooper Kadash, Iram Israel, a Shalom, Water for tuning in. What do you think? You know what I mean? What do you think? You think that God's love is unconditional? You know what I mean? You hear that term a lot, unconditional love. Like, what is unconditional love? You know what I mean? And is that a characteristic of God? Is God an unconditional loving spirit? You know what I mean? That's what you have to ask. You know what I mean? So if anybody has the answer to that, go ahead and throw that in the chat. And then we can just jump right up on it. So usually you would think that God is, you know what I mean, the requirements of God is different than the requirements of us. If you think about your requirements of what love is and how unconditional love pertains to you in your life, do you have unconditional love? You know what I mean? Or does your love have conditions? You know what I mean? If I could speak to the brothers, like, you know what I mean? Say you hypothetically have a rib, you know what I mean? And your rib just has to continue to keep on going out and sleeping with different men. You know what I mean? Are you going to continue to keep loving her? If your rib goes out and, you know what I mean, she tells you she loves you, she gives you all of this comfort with her voice and tells you, oh yeah, how much she loves you and how much she wants to be with you, but she can't stop going out into the streets and sleeping with other men. Are you going to have unconditional love for that woman? Hey, Shalom, Ottawa. Shalom says, think about it. You know what I mean? Think about it. Are you going to have an unconditional love for a woman who can't stop sleeping with other men? I mean, so usually when you think about it, like the first thought in your head is, hell no. Hell no, I'm not. I'm not even going to deal with that. I mean, there's certain, I've seen certain people in the world deal with certain things like that. You know what I mean? Deal with that type of lifestyle. But what do you qualify them as? Like, what is the word that you would qualify them as? What would it be? Like a simp, a square, a beta male, like, you know what I mean? Like all these different insulting words that qualify for a person who settles for that type of lifestyle. You know what I mean? But the thing about it is, you're by you giving the Lord a characteristic of unconditional love, you're pretty much calling him the same things. You're calling him a square. You're calling him a simp. The Lord has conditions just as well as everybody else in this world does. Let's just say our people are still being punished for our past sins and will be cursed till we repent and change our ways. Okay. Well, that's going into the topic of what we're talking about. You know what I mean? Like I was saying, just as well as we have conditions, the Lord has conditions. You know what I mean? The Lord is not a simp. He's not a square. His requirements, well, he does have requirements in order for you to prove yourself worthy of him, prove yourself that you love him, and to be able to, how can I say, be righteous enough for his love. Okay? The Lord's not going to love you if you continue to keep on dwelling in the same sins that you've been dwelling in for the last few years. You can't expect that same type of love because you wouldn't expect the same type of love for anybody else that was out here in this world to do the same for you. You know what I mean? You wouldn't expect that same type of love for anybody to do that for you if they weren't consistent with what they were telling you or what they were trying to show you. You know what I mean? Going back to the whole thing with a man accepting a woman for being a whore, like, you know what I mean? That's not just a no in just everyday life. That's a no in the Bible as well. You know what I mean? But I mean, we could read Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 1 real quick. So this is the book of Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 1. It says, they say, if a man put away his wife, she go from him and become another man's, shall he return unto her again? Shall not the land be greatly polluted? But thou hast played the harlot with many lovers, yet return again to me, saith the Lord. Lift up thine eyes unto the high places and see where thou hast not been lying with. In the ways hast thou sat for them, as the Arabian in the wilderness, and thou hast polluted the land with thy whoredoms and with thy wickedness. So just giving you understanding on what this scripture is talking about, it's the same way that you would not accept a woman for being with another man. You know what I mean? It's the same way that the Lord is not going to accept you for going out and sleeping with other gods. You know what I mean? Now, the Lord made a covenant with us, and he divorced Israel. You know what I mean? But he made a promise that he would come back to Israel only on the simple fact of not in our glory, but in his. You know what I mean? To show how righteous he is unto us. You know what I mean? But all in all, at the end of the day, your love has conditions, just as well as God's love has conditions. You're not going to be an unrighteous, wicked person and expect that you will receive some type of mercy or salvation from God. It's not going to happen. You know what I mean? And we've allowed certain religious establishments to make us feel as if we can be and act as unrighteous as we can be. And at the end of the day, all we have to do is just ask for acceptance and ask for forgiveness, and then we'll receive it. That's not what it is. You know what I mean? In order to be able to receive forgiveness, in order to be able to receive mercy, you have to change. Point blank, period. You know what I mean? You have to change from your ways. You have to stop being the unrighteous person that you are. Those are the conditions that the Lord is putting you in. You know what I mean? And then he's going to test you as well to see if you're also righteous enough to stand your ground when it comes to being out in this world, facing temptation, facing hardships. You know what I mean? He's gonna put you to the test to see if you're really worthy enough to be able to receive his love. You know what I mean? God has conditions. Don't let anybody tell you that love is unconditional. Love always has conditions. If you sat there and you stopped feeding your child, if you stop feeding your pet, you think that they're going to still love you while they're there starving? You think they're going to have some type of love for you? They're going to have love for this person who's starving me out? You know what I mean? No. Now, the love has a condition to it. There's no such thing as unconditional love. I mean, and the Lord is righteous with his conditions, because the conditions that he's looking for, we're going to get into them right now. I mean, if you already know in the chat what the Lord's conditions are, go ahead and write it up. But we gonna slowly work our way to it. But the thing about it is, I want to get a understanding that your day in and day out life, your everyday life, always requires certain conditions. There's a certain condition that goes with your everyday life. So why shouldn't the Lord have conditions? Why does the Lord have to accept you for whatever you want to be? You know what I mean? Whatever wickedness you want to do on a day-to-day basis without changing, why does the Lord have to accept you the way you are? You know what I mean? That's the problem that we have in our community, because just being taught that you can act and be as you want to be, and the Lord's going to love you regardless. You know what I mean? That's untrue. That is completely untrue. The Lord does hate as well. You know what I mean? The Lord will hate you if you are not applying to what his conditions are. So what are his conditions? Let's go to the book of John, chapter 14 and verse 13. All right, so the book of John, chapter 14 and verse 13, it says, "And whatsoever ye shall ask in my name, that will I do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son." Verse 14, "If ye shall ask anything in my name, I will do it. If ye love me, keep my commandments." Let me read that one more time. Verse 15, "If ye love me, keep my commandments." You have to understand that you proving yourself loyal and righteous to the Lord, you proving yourself that you are, how can I say, willing to show your love for the Lord, is by keeping his commandments. You know what I mean? This is the requirement, and these are the conditions that the Lord is giving you to show that your love for him is real. You know what I'm saying? Right. We have to keep his commandments, worship only him. Yes. You know what I mean? But keeping his commandments, you have to have an understanding of what the Lord's what his commandments are. I mean, the blueprint is in the Bible. I mean, the scriptures give us the blueprint of how to serve the Lord, what his requirements are. The problem is with certain aspects of how wicked this world is, it tells us that all you have to do is just be a good person and the Lord's going to love you. That's completely false, because that's you making your own definition of what good is and not going off of the basis of what he finds what is righteous, what he finds what is good. You know what I mean? What he finds what is perfect. You're going off of your own perspective. And the Lord is not a respecter of persons. He doesn't care how you feel what good is, or how you feel what bad is, or how you feel what righteous is, or how you feel what wickedness is. He doesn't care about that. Well, he already made a blueprint of what to do to be righteous. Now it's up for us to be able to follow that blueprint. You know what I mean? But he's telling us if we love him, then we keep his commandments. Who sat there and told us that the law is done away with? You know what I mean? His commandments are not done away with. His laws and commandments are not done away with. His laws and commandments are blueprinted in the scripture. If it didn't apply, it wouldn't be in there. You know what I'm saying? If it didn't exist into our life, or it didn't matter to the Lord, then it wouldn't be in the scriptures. It would have been done away with. I mean, the Lord doesn't change. When he makes his do's and don'ts, when he makes his yays and nays, he means what he says. And he's not going to change what he said. You know what I mean? He's going to be consistent off of what his instructions are. You know what I mean? So let's go to 1 Kings chapter 6 and 12. The book of 1 Kings, chapter 6 and 12, it says, "Concerning this house which thou art in building, if thou wilt walk in my statutes and execute my judgments and keep all my commandments," let me read that one more time, "and keep all of my commandments to walk in them, then will I perform my word with thee, which I spake unto David thy father." So what he's telling us is that we're Salakia, what does it say? Write down what a righteous person looks like, please. Okay, we get into that right now. You know what I mean? Because following the law does is what makes you righteous. Okay, so we're getting into that right now. But following the law is not only making you a righteous person, but it's making you worthy of the Lord's love. You know what I mean? Which was what we're getting into. Because a lot of, you know what I mean, perspectives is that, you know what I mean, regardless of what you are or who you are, the Lord's going to love you regardless. But you don't even love people regardless of what and who they are. You know what I mean? Your kids won't love you for what and who you are. You know what I mean? Even like as loyal as dogs are, they still won't love you unconditionally. You know what I mean? If you beating them and starving them, they're not gonna, you know what I'm saying? They're not going to always love you. They're gonna try to get away from you. You know what I mean? But all in all, love has conditions. So whoever's saying that love is unconditional, they're lying. Okay. But what we're getting into, in order to be a righteous person, you have to be a follower of the law. You have to be a follower of Christ. You know what I mean? Because Christ followed the law. You know what I mean? Christ recommended us to follow the law. Christ even mentions following the law. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, we can get into that too. Actually, yeah, we can get into that. The book of Matthew, chapter 22 and verse 36. The reason why you got to go to Christ too is because, you know what I mean, it's taught that Christ is the reason why the law is done away with. But that's completely everything but. Christ reassured that the law was meant to be followed. You know what I mean? Christ died for us to get back into the covenant of the Lord. The covenant is following the law. Okay. Second, let me get into it. All right, so Matthew 22 and 36. It says, Master, which is the great commandment in the law? So they're asking Christ, which is the great commandment? They didn't ask him which are the only commandments. You got to understand that as well. Because thinking that we're not supposed to follow the law, and they're asking which ones are the greatest laws. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people try to go to this to make it seem as if these are the only two laws that you're supposed to follow. That's completely false. He's asking what are the most important laws. Okay. And it says, Jesus said unto him, thou shalt love thy Lord, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. Okay. So doing those two things, which is just giving you a breakdown. Hey, shalom, Lord Christ. Just giving you a breakdown. If you're loving God with all your heart, you're not sinning unto God. You're following God's commandments. If you're loving your brother with like you love yourself, you're not sinning. You're not stealing from your brother. You're not killing your brother. You're not, you know what I mean, sleeping with your brother's wife. You know what I'm saying? Like if you love your brother, if you love yourself, because you're not going to have love for your fellow brother and sleep with your brother's wife. You're not going to have love for your fellow brother and, you know what I mean, steal from him or, you know what I mean, cause any type of harm to him. That's what Christ is breaking this down as. He's not saying that these are the only two laws. He's saying that these are the most important laws. Okay. Always understand that. Don't never let nobody tell you, oh yeah, Christ only had two laws. That's completely false. I mean, he's given the most important laws that you need to follow. Because if you love God with all your heart, you're not going to celebrate pagan holidays to celebrate a deity or an idol that a nation has given you only because it's the normal day of what they celebrate. You know what I mean? You're going to do away with those things. You're going to do your research. You're going to look into what deity is behind these certain holidays, and you're going to find out, oh yeah, this is idol worship. You know what I mean? But if I love God more than anything, if I love him with all my heart and soul, with all my heart and mind, you know what I mean, then I'm going to love him more than I love these holidays. I'm gonna love him more than I love these birthdays, these things that are a representation of some false deity, some pagan deity. You know what I mean? That's why we don't do particular things that may seem unnormal to others. You know what I mean? We don't eat pork. Why don't we eat pork? Because it's in the law not to eat pork. It's in Leviticus. You know what I mean? It's in the law. The law has dietary laws. There's dietary laws. There's laws when it comes to relations with other people. You know what I mean? There's laws when it comes to marriage. There's laws when it comes to everything. Okay, yeah, exactly. We got Mother's Day coming up. Mother's Day. Do you research on Mother's Day? What is the idol in Mother's Day? What is the background? What is the history in it? You know what I mean? You have to look it up if you love the Lord. Because if you love the Lord, you're not going to want to sin against him. You know what I mean? So even in the midst of celebrating Mother's Day, you're sinning. Why are you sinning? Because you're doing so, there's idol worship that comes in between it. They might decorate it as, oh yeah, well, I'm just doing it because I love my mom, or I'm doing it. No, you should love God before you love your mom that much. You know what I mean? If you love your mom, you would not celebrate Mother's Day. If you loved your mom, um you would not feast day on a particular day that has something to do with a pagan god or anything of that nature. You know what I'm saying? We don't celebrate those particular days. All those days have certain backgrounds to them. They all have something. They all have a certain god to them, a certain false god. You know what I mean? And this is why we don't celebrate those days. They might decorate it. They might um, deck it up with a whole bunch of, oh yeah, it's just for the kids or it's just for the family. And no, really it's just idol worship. So if you love God, you wouldn't celebrate those days. You know what I mean? And if you really loved your mother or any of those particular days, like Father's Day or anything like that, if you really love them, you would love them regardless of whatever the day was. You don't need a day to show your love for that particular person. Okay. So let's keep going. What did we just read? Okay, so we read Christ acknowledging the most important laws in the law, in the commandments. You know what I mean? So even Christ is acknowledging that, you know what I mean, you're supposed to follow the law. But at the end of the day, the law is what gets you that love from God, and those are the conditions that God has in order for you to love him. Okay. Like, uh says the most it says most high corrections and chastisements to me made me a better husband and father, and makes me love the most high even more. Now this is the thing as well. Let me see. With that, I mean, all right, so Hebrews 12:6. All right, so the book of Hebrews, chapter 12 and verse 6, it says, for whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. Now, when you read that, the Lord, if the Lord loves you, he's going to correct you. You know what I mean? If you feel like the Lord is just going to love you regardless, and you can just be as wicked as you want to be, and you know what I mean, and you're not, and if you're out there just being wicked, being un how can I say uncorrected, if you're just living the way you want to and you're not receiving any type of correction from the Lord, then he doesn't love you at all. You know what I mean? That's just a complete um setting that he wrote in the scriptures. If the Lord is correcting you, and he's trying to and he's showing you how to live, he's punishing you for doing the wrong things, that's a parent that loves you. That's a parent that actually wants to guide you onto the right track. What do you do with your children when you catch your children doing the wrong thing? Do you just ignore it? Do you just walk away? Does that show how truly much that you love your child? You know what I mean? Like, think about it. You know what I'm saying? Think about it. If you truly, truly love your child, you've seen them out doing just a whole bunch of madness and wickedness. Are you going to just let it be? Oh yeah, well they'll figure it out. If you do that, then you truly don't love your child. You know what I mean? But if you love your child, you're going to correct them. And that's why the Lord will, that's what the precept is saying right here in Hebrews. The Lord is going to correct you if he loves you. If you're not receiving any correction, if you're not receiving um any discipline for the wickedness you've done, then the Lord doesn't love you at all. The Lord cares less about you. You know what I mean? You should want to be corrected. You should want to be put in your place as far as the right and the wrong things to be doing. You know what I mean? You should be put into that guidance of how to live and then the right way to live. You know what I'm saying? What does it say? Can you create your own personalized day of celebration for your family? The thing about it is that I wouldn't say that is unlawful, because you can have family reunions, you can have baby showers, you can have stuff like that. But you know what I mean, those particular days, it's just, I mean, you don't want to idolize your family. You want to definitely, you know what I mean, love your family, have a great time with them and stuff like that. You don't want to just, oh yeah, well, you know what I mean, make some type of, you know what I mean, it's not unlawful to make your own day to celebrate with your family. That's not unlawful. But the thing about it is, the Lord has his days of when he wants you to celebrate him. So just make sure you're doing that as well. I mean, when you look up high holy days in the Bible is telling you what days you're supposed to serve the Lord. I mean, you got Passover that we just celebrated. You have the unleavened feast of unleavened bread. You have the feast of tabernacles, the feast of first fruits, the feast of Purim. You have these certain days that the Lord orders us to acknowledge as memorial days or high holy days to represent the culture and the history of our culture. You know what I mean? Because Passover was a day of the Lord freeing us from captivity. You know what I mean? So it's a commandment to celebrate those high holy days, as did Christ. Christ celebrated Passover. You know what I mean? He didn't celebrate Christmas. He didn't celebrate Easter. He celebrated Passover because it's a memorial. It's a commandment. It's a high holy day of the representation of the Lord killing the firstborn in Egypt in order to get us free out of that captivity. You know what I mean? And it's a must that you celebrate it every year. You know what I mean? So there's high holy days that we're required in the law to celebrate, and you have to follow those. You have to follow those high holy days in order to show you love the Lord, because the Lord commands it as a commandment. You know what I mean? He commands that you celebrate those days. That's in the law as well, to celebrate those high holy days. So there's certain things that you are supposed to, you know what I mean, have feast days on, have high holy days on. You know what I mean? But the things that they give us in this world that we're living in, you know what I mean? They'll give us pagan days, days that have absolutely nothing to do with the Lord. You know what I mean, for one, Christmas, for one, Easter, um, Halloween, all these different things, Mother's Day, all these different things have a deity behind it, and it's idol worship. You know what I mean? And the Lord wants us to only, you know what I mean? He doesn't want us serving any other gods but him. You know what I mean? That's in the law as well. Okay? So let's keep this going. So let's go to which one we do just now? We just did Hebrews. Okay, and we did, okay, so let's go to First John chapter 5. First John chapter 5 and verse 1. First John also, you know what I mean? Not Okay. So the book of First John chapter 1 says, whosoever believeth that Jesus is the Christ is born. Jesus is the Christ, is born of God, and everyone that loveth him, that begat, loveth him also that is begotten of him. By this we know that we love the children of God, when we love God and keep his commandments. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. So this is another how can I say, end all be all to this class. You know what I mean? That's the only way that you can show that you love the Lord, is that you keep his commandments. If you're not keeping his commandments, then you don't love the Lord. Point blank, period. If you're not following Christ, which Christ kept commandments, which made him perfect, that's why he was perfect. The only way you can be perfect is by following the commandments. And it's crazy because when you tell people that you're perfect because you don't sin, they will look at you crazy. But that's the only requirement of being perfect, is following the law. You know what I mean? But okay, so this is just another end all be all scripture of what this class is. In order to love the Lord, you got to, in order to show your love for the Lord and to get love from the Lord, because the Lord has his conditions, you have to follow the commandments. That's the only way you show your love to the Lord. Those are his conditions. You know what I mean? So the Lord has conditions. You as well have your conditions. Now, a lot of people's conditions that we see today is kind of like delusional. Like, you know what I mean? So like a lot of women out here, they have a condition of what they do to get a man, and the condition of what they want the man to be after they have him. Like, a woman would want a man because he is appealing to other women. I mean, he's able to get other women, but you know what I mean, that's what attracted her to him, is because he's capable of getting other women. You know what I mean? Like, or like his bank account might be appealing, and you know what I mean, the women love the way that he's able to be consistent and have money, and you know what I mean. But either way, he's able to attract other women. But when she gets them, she changes the condition that, oh yeah, well he's just supposed to be with me. I mean, that's a very delusional way of thinking, because you were attracted to him because he was able to, you know what I mean, attract other women. But now that you got him, now your conditions change to, oh, he can only be with one woman. I mean, either way, I mean, the Lord's not inconsistent like that. The Lord doesn't change at all. His requirements are very simple. And that's what it's saying in this precept, that it doesn't be grievous to us, because it shouldn't hurt you to follow his commandments. It shouldn't be a burden to you to follow his commandments. If it's a burden to you, it's because there's something in this world that you're grasping onto. I mean, there's something in this materialistic lifestyle that you're grasping onto, that you either want back or you're losing. I mean, don't grasp onto the things that the Lord doesn't want you taking with you. You know what I'm saying? When you walking through this road, you might have to walk alone. You know what I mean? But either way, if you're walking through the road of righteousness, if you're following the commandments, if you're doing the right things, you shouldn't even have any concerns about what you're capable of losing or what you have lost. I mean, let those materialistic things go away, because the world that the Lord is cooking up right now, or the world that we see today, this materialistic world, is all being destroyed. And we see that today. We see bombs going off. We see earthquakes. We see tornadoes. We see tsunamis. We see a whole bunch of different things that is putting this particular world into just chaos. So don't be afraid of things that you could lose, or the things that you're losing at this particular moment, because when we get to the world that the Lord is making, the kingdom that the Lord is making, you ain't even gonna think about those things. You won't even be concerned about those things if you were righteous enough to be able to receive that salvation and to be able to be chosen into the next world that the Lord is making. Because the next world is going to be the world that Christ rules. Christ is going to rule over this next world. You know what I mean? Notice how I'm saying the word world, because, you know what I mean, you got to say that a lot, because a lot of people think that John 3:16 is talking about the whole world. And there's particular worlds that, you know what I mean, when you use the word world, there's particular worlds. The world that Christ is cooking up right now will be here on earth. You know what I mean? It's going to be here on earth. He's going to rule all nations, but his people will be in their kingdom. You know what I mean? His people will be in their kingdom. The people that will receive salvation, the people that he died for, that's going to happen here. A lot of people think that they have to die in order to be able to get to the kingdom. That's not true. The kingdom is going to happen right here on earth. You know what I mean? And that's something to look forward to, because as you see this place beginning to deteriorate, you know what I mean? As you see this place beginning to be more and more destroyed and more unstable, it's just giving you reassurance that God is with us. You know what I'm saying? It's giving you reassurance that God is going to destroy this wicked place in order to get us back into a land of righteousness, a lifestyle of righteousness. You know what I mean? And that's going to be the lifestyle where you'll have no choice but to follow the law. There will be no breaking the law in the kingdom. You know what I mean? There will be no, oh, I don't love God enough to be able to do this or stop doing this or doing that. No, you're going to follow the law regardless if you like it or not. And there is no, you're not going to like it, because our world is going to, like the Bible says, our world is going to be more righteous than what we see today. You know what I mean? People are going to sing and glorify because the righteous people of God are at rule of this world. Right now, we're dealing with wickedness and people who want you to sell your body for money, and people who want you to do drugs and be docile and be just idle-minded and be just completely destroyed. You know what I mean? Completely just violent and evil and wicked. This is the world that we see today. It's glorified. You get paid for being a slut. You get paid for being a murderer. You get paid for being an abuser. Slack if I use murder. I can't use that word. But yeah, certain things. It's you get glorified and you get rewarded for being wicked in this world. And then in Christ's world, that's not happening. That's not going to happen. You know what I mean? In Christ's world, the only way that you can be glorified is by being righteous. You know what I mean? By what you do as far as this work in this truth. You know what I'm saying? I see. Thank you. That gives hope. Oh yeah, most definitely, sis, for sure. You know what I mean? It's the water, sis. I was thinking, like, what word can I use for that? But yeah, I forgot underliver. Okay, the water. So yeah, like it should give hope, because we have to continue to keep on enduring these hardships until Christ's return. It's not like things will get better for our people. It's not like things will get better for us. I mean, things are going to get worse, and we have to prepare ourselves for that time period, because this nation is going to give up on blacks and Hispanics for sure. You know what I mean? We're always the first ones to get the worst of everything when it comes to when this nation is struggling. So we have to prepare ourselves. We have to prepare our spirits, prepare our minds for what is coming to pass for our people during the time period of when they are in their biggest struggle. They just sent so much money to Ukraine and to what else? What's the other? Is it Taiwan or something like that? They just sent a whole bunch of money and aid. Who you think is going to have to, you know what I mean, reimburse that bill? You think that they're going to go after their own people? You know what I mean? To get that money back? You think they're going after their own people? They're not going after their own people to get that money back. They're gonna up our gas prices. They're gonna up our food prices. It's gonna get to the point where we are going to be out here starving. You know what I mean? But all in all, we're going to be working to reassure that they get their money back. You know what I mean? So we have to prepare ourselves for that. We have to really keep our minds and hearts set on what is possible to come. You know what I'm saying? Because we're going to be the ones that have to suffer through it. Okay? Just a second, squad. Okay. So let's keep going. All right. So where we at right now? Where we at with it? We got about like, whoa. We got 2 more presets. It ain't that much. I think we already did 501. Okay. So let's go to 1 John chapter 2 and verse 3. If you ever want to get into what love is for the Lord and how to love the Lord, read the book of 1 John for sure. So the book of 1 John chapter 2 and verse 3, it says, and hereby we do know that we know him if we keep his commandments. Let me read that one more time. And hereby we do know that we know him if we keep his commandments. So if you don't know the law, you don't know the Lord. You don't know the zeal of the Lord. You don't know the zeal of Christ. You don't know God at all if you don't know his law. Okay? That's a very important scripture right there. I mean, you have to understand that scripture for sure. Don't let people steer you away from following the laws of the Lord and telling you that the law doesn't exist. The law is over with, that we broke the law, so the law doesn't qualify to us anymore. That's completely untrue. This Bible, all throughout the Bible, is saying to follow the law. You know what I mean? But the requirements of following the law is showing God that you love him, is giving you access to be loved by God, and also is showing that you know the Lord. Okay? That's the only way you get to know the Lord, is by knowing his law. Why is the Lord telling us not to eat certain things? Why is that? It's because he doesn't want you to die from high blood pressure. He doesn't want you to die from diabetes. He doesn't want you to die from all this cancerous stuff that's out here. You know what I'm saying? Why is he telling you the laws of marriage? Why? Is because he doesn't want you sleeping with whores. Why? Is because he doesn't want you sleeping with your brother's wife. Why? Is because he doesn't want you destroying your mental and emotional state by thinking that you're accomplishing something by sleeping with multiple men, because you're not. You're just ruining your mental state. You know what I mean? The more by the more man you continue to keep on allowing inside of your body, you're just ruining your mental state. You know what I mean? You're ruining your emotional state. You're becoming uncontrollable. You're becoming how can I say, just numb to everything. You know what I mean? You're losing the very thing that's giving you your value. You know what I'm saying? Being able to, you know what I mean, give life into this world. Being able to, you know what I mean, secure your position as a wife. You know what I'm saying? You're giving those things to just random people in order just to have a night of fun. You know what I mean? Why is the Lord giving you laws on this? Is because he doesn't want you being a slut. He doesn't want you sleeping with how can I say, he doesn't want you being an adulterer. You know what I mean? He doesn't want you sleeping with your brother's wife. You know what I mean? He doesn't want you sleeping with whores. This is why the Lord is giving these commandments. It's because the law is brotherly. The law is being a brother, being a sister. You know what I'm saying? That's why the law exists, because it's teaching you how to coexist with your peers, with your nation. You know what I mean? It's teaching you how to coexist with people. You know what I mean? If we were just able to just be good people and be who we wanted to be, then the Lord wouldn't have made these requirements of what and how to live. Okay? So let's go back. And hereby we do know that we know him if we keep his commandments. Verse 4, he that saith, I know him, and keepeth not his commandments. Read that one more time. He that saith, I know him, and keepeth not his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. So to sit there and be inconsistent on the law, to not follow the law, to not do the requirements of what the Lord wants on your day in and day out, you're and to sit there and say that you know who God is and you know what God is requiring of you, and that God is telling you this and God is telling you that, that's a complete lie. And this is what the Bible's saying. In order to actually know who God is and actually to be able to even give the representation that you know who God is, you have to be a person who follows the law wholeheartedly. The only place that you can do that is here. You know what I mean? And that's just to keep it real. There's so many different orchestrated things out in this world, religions and different communities and different groups that teach you to do everything but follow the law. You know what I mean? And that's why we're so militant in this place and we're so strict, is because the law is sacred. You know what I mean? And there's so much that's coming against it. You can't allow things to infiltrate and to come and try to steal and then manipulate it. You know what I'm saying? You gotta keep this law as dear to you as you would keep a newborn child. You know what I'm saying? You have to be just as be as delicate to it as you would be to a newborn child. You're not going to sit over here and treat the law as if, okay, well, anybody can just come in and everybody can just learn it and everybody can just do whatever they want to do, and you could teach and you could teach and you could teach and you could teach. It don't work like that. You know what I mean? The God already chosen who he wants to be a priest on this earth. God already chosen who he wants following and teaching his words. You can't allow anybody to just get up and just want to say what they want to say just because they feel they know what the truth is. You know what I mean? The Lord chooses who he wants to be able, who he wants to come out to the people and actually give this word out. You know what I mean? But going back into what we were talking about. So what we just do, we did. Okay. So going back into what we was talking about unconditional, you know what I mean? You have to look at the pioneers in the Bible, because the Bible's not just going to give you people that has always done right and never faced any consequences. You know what I mean? There's pretty much everybody in the Bible. I could say a lot of our pioneers in the Bible, it shows the good things they did and the bad things they did and the things they had to do, the things they had to go through in order to how can I say, to deal with the wrongs, the mistakes that they made. Now, did everybody get that opportunity of being able to correct their wrongs? No. That's how you know that the love that God has is not unconditional. If it was unconditional, then King Saul would have stayed king. You know what I'm saying? Feel me where I'm coming from right now. If King Saul was at rulership as a king and God's love was unconditional, then King David would have never existed. David would have existed, but King David wouldn't have existed. There are conditions to God's love. What happened to Saul? He continued to keep disobeying. He continued to keep doing wickedness and evils. So what happened to him? Not only did he die, but his children died. His sons died. You know what I'm saying? Like, take that into initiative, because not only does God's love have conditions, but the things that you do, they qualify to the ones that you love around you. You know what I mean? Like, you completely being unrighteous can affect your children. It can affect your mother. It can affect the people around you who you say you love. You know what I mean? You have to keep that in mind. There are conditions to God's love. Don't ever think that the Lord's just going to accept you for 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 whatever you do. What they say, come as you are. Now the thing about that is, when you come as a crackhead, do you continue to stay a crackhead and the God's still going to love you? When you come as a prostitute and you continue to keep selling your box, you think God's going to continue to love you? So there are conditions to God's love. You know what I mean? That needs to be understood. It's not something that is going to it's not something that you need to take lightly. You need to take that as, all right, you know what? I want to be well deserving of what God has to offer. I want to be a person who's deserving of my prayers to be heard, my prayers to be answered. I want to be that person. You know what I mean? I want my parent to love me. I want my father to love me. You know what I mean? When you were a child, if you did or if you didn't have parents, you know what I mean? But if you did have a father in your life, you would go above and beyond to do certain aspects in order to make your father proud. That's the same thing when it comes to our Father in heaven. You know what I'm saying? You have to really understand the things that you do as far as following this law is what makes the Lord proud. And if he sees that you are going above and beyond and you're going out of your way to serve him and to love him, to actually serve these laws, he's going to put you in check if you're steering away. And that's his way of showing that he loves you and your efforts of following his law, following his corrections. And then if you understand what the laws are, it's really just a righteous way of living. That's it. You know what I mean? And it's really our culture. It's how we live. It's what makes us holy. Holy meaning separate. It what makes us separate from all the other nations. You know what I mean? You can't want to love God, love your people, and want to be just like everybody else. It don't work like that. You know what I mean? You love your people by loving your culture, loving your nationality, loving your brothers, your sisters. You know what I mean? How do you do that? You show that I'm willing to live in this mannerism that you want me to live in. I'm willing to live under this structure that you want me to live in, just to prove myself as a loyal and humble child, you know what I mean, or servant. But all in all, that's the only way that you even can get acknowledged is by serving the law. If you're not serving the law, the Lord is not dealing with you. You know what I mean? And when Christ comes back, he's gonna say, I never knew you. And that's what you don't want. You know what I mean? That's exactly what you don't want. But let's go to 2 John chapter 1 and verse 6. Okay, let me see. Okay, so the book of 2 John chapter 1, and we'll start at 5. And it says, and now I beseech thee, lady, not as though I wrote a new commandment unto thee, but that which we had from the beginning, that we love one another. Verse 6. And this is love, that we walk after his commandments. This is the commandment, that as ye have heard from the beginning, ye should walk in it. So that's the definition of what love is. That's what fearing God does. It corrects us to be more righteous, conscious. Yep. But also that's what selling drugs and going to jail does. That's correction as well. You know what I mean? Going out and gang banging and getting shot. That's another form of being corrected. What else? So many different things. But the Lord the Lord will correct us if he does love us. And those things that may seem wicked that are going on in our lives doesn't mean that the Lord doesn't love us. It just means that we need to get ourselves in check. You know what I'm saying? But yes, fearing God is the beginning of wisdom. That's the first thing you need to do. I love God enough not to celebrate Christmas. And my family loves Christmas. My family literally dedicates our family ship on Christmas and different holidays. We don't see them unless a holiday is going on. So guess what? I don't see my family anymore. You know what I mean? Simple as that. But that's just how simple it is. I love God more than I love my family. So I'm willing to not see them because all they do is gather around on holidays that are planned that this nation gives us. And I don't see them. I don't see them because I love God more than I love them. You know what I mean? So all relationships have been disattached because they can only get together and formulate on days that the Lord hates. You know what I mean? And you get that in Amos verse 5 of the feast days that the Lord hates. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so I love God enough to not eat certain things like pork, shrimp, crab, lobster, things that the Lord instructed us not to eat. You know what I mean? I love him enough to not do those things. And that's just showing that you love him. Because a lot of people, they love food more than they love God. And it shows. Because once you see that you're not supposed to eat certain things, you'll give any excuse to continue to keep on doing it. And that's where the idolatry, the teachings, and all those things like that, the wickedness comes in at. If these people are teaching that it's okay to eat pork, then I'm just going to go to them. Because they still love God, or they say they love God, but it's easier for me to be here because I can just do these particular things and I don't have to stop doing what I like. I don't have to do the things that I actually truly love. Really, it's just showing your lack of love for God. It's really just showing how much you truly don't love him that much. You know what I mean? A lot of, how can I say? A lot of things that cause trauma will cause a woman to want to sleep with multiple men. Now, she loves sleeping with multiple men more than she loves God. So she'll go to a group where it's fine to do this. She'll go to a structure where you can do, I can sleep with this person, I can sleep with this person, I can sleep with this person, and there'll be no problem with that because they say they love God. So why not be in their presence? Why not be under their structure? Because they're saying they love God. So, you know what I mean? They're obviously doing it the easier way. Okay. Tell me about their own food. Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, there's a law on foods. You know what I mean? There's a law on marriage. There's a law on how to live in general. You know what I mean? There's a law if you were to accidentally destroy your brother's property. The laws are not hard to follow. It's just our people have been blended in with this society so long that we feel as if it hurts us to do the opposite of what the world wants us to do. But we also have to understand God is going to destroy this world. This world is going to be destroyed. There will no longer be like this structure that you see in front of you. This structure is going to stop. This ways of living is going to stop. We're going to live the way that the Lord wants us to, whether we like it or not. Why not just jump ship and get on the bandwagon as while you can? You know what I mean? Do it while you don't have to face consequences in the, you know what I mean? Like, just do it now. Do the right thing now so you don't have to deal with the consequences that come with not doing it. Because we're gonna be the Lord's gonna structure this world to the point where you're gonna follow his law regardless, whether if you like it or not. There is no choice. There is no free will. You know what I mean? You're either going to do what the Lord says or you're going to die. Point blank, period. That's it. You do what the Lord says or you're going to die. There is no free will. Okay? So, yeah, just lock it real quick. Okay, so read this one more time. It says, "And now I beseech thee, lady, not as though I wrote a new commandment unto thee, but that which we had from the beginning, that we love one another, and this is love, that we walk after his commandments. This is the commandment, that as ye have heard from the beginning, ye should walk in it." So, yeah, was that the last one? Let me check, make sure. Yep, that was the last one. All right. So yeah. So does God have conditions? Yes. His conditions for you to follow his law. His conditions is for you to serve him. His conditions is for you to endure into the end. Okay. Whether if that be through the day of the Lord and his salvation, or that be to your death, endure to the end. You know what I mean? Endure hardships, continue to keep fighting that good fight. You know what I mean? Continue to keep on serving the Lord in the way that he wants you to serve him. Don't fall short. You know what I mean? Do what you got to do. Shalom, y'all, sorry, school. I'm checking in. Hey, shalom, sis. What's going on? So, yeah, there is no unconditional love. All love has conditions. Your love has conditions. Why shouldn't the Lord's love have conditions? You know what I'm saying? That's just the plain and said thing about it. The Lord is not a simp. He's not just going to love you for you and your wickedness and living in sin and doing whatever you want to do and living the way you want it to do. You're living in your perspective of what you think he wants. No, you know what I mean? He already set the blueprint. His blueprint is that you're supposed to follow his law. And if you don't know the law, I suggest you learn it, because that's the only way that you can actually claim that you know God, is by learning his law. Okay. And with that, I'm going to close the class up. I'm going to say, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakathum to the brothers. Yahweh Shamar Latham Ba'Shem Yahushua to the sisters. Say the water for tuning in. Water for y'all in the chat. Shalom.